What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Johnny Cracks Packs. We've got a special Friday episode. We're going to feature a tabletop basketball game called Regular Season Basketball. I will attempt to put the link to the website in the description of this video in case you are interested. If you like tabletop basketball or tabletop sports, I have a few games in on this, and I am definitely enjoying it. So this is going to be a largely positive review and demo. So that information will be there. Real quick, all I did was download the free demo that is on the web page. And with that, I got this rule book that basically is going to tell you how the game operates, how to play it, and I'll break that down today. You get a copy of a score sheet, and then you will get a couple of team cards. I believe it's probably going to be the same cards as these. The Miami Heat from 2010 and 2011, and the Dallas Mavericks. These were the championship teams of that year. Our biggest takeaway is that so far the game has been very realistic. It gives you, I wouldn't say it's a quick play of basketball on the tabletop, but it can be very quick. You have a couple of options on how you want to use this game. It does deliver very close to full stats in its advanced mode. We're going to go through the basic mode. I don't think you get advanced rules with the free demo. You'd have to purchase a season for that. The seasons look pretty reasonable. Let's take a peek. Where are we? So if we wanted to go with a 90s season, 27 teams, MJ's first title. You get the advanced rules and the team chart templates for each team, and it's just $18. So that's pretty fantastic. That's good value for a tabletop sim. So if we are going to look, we're going to break this game down for you. We'll talk about how you generate the score and then how you generate the stats. So firstly, I've got here an example of a score sheet to start a game. You'll notice there's no players filled in, and then there's some numbers on the sheet, and we'll get to that in just a second. Firstly, this is game 4 of the championship series. I have played 3 games already. Here's a look at a finished score sheet with stat totals. Things I'm not tracking are minutes, steals, blocks, and fouls. I'm not sure if you can track individual fouls with this, but I believe there is a way that you can assign the fouls because each roll of the dice will put somebody on the line for most of the results, and you'll see how that works as we go. But for right now, I've just been keeping track of points and really just field goals made. I am tracking field goals missed, but I didn't do any statistical analysis to see of people's field goal percentages or anything like that. And the way that this game works is that each team card is going to have a couple of things. We'll look at the Heat here. You've got your banner. You've got team ratings. So you're going to have home and road ratings for both offense and defense. It's going to give you what their record was, their home arena. Then you're going to have your player finder, your point finder grid. And this is going to allow you to see what happened in each segment of the game. The rest chart you don't use too much. You do use in the basic game, and I'll show you how on the first roll of the game. But there are other uses for the rest chart when you're tracking things like minutes. And then you have a roster. So that's how you get started. And basically, the numbers on our first score sheet, I'll show you, are going to be what they call the team modifier. And I'll show you how we get that once we go through the first few games. So I am going to just do a quick score comparison so you can kind of see maybe what the results are like. My first notice when I played this game is I felt like I had kind of lower score totals, which I do appreciate that they are indicative of the era, and I think the team modifiers are going to enable that in each of these seasons. So I have no doubt you're going to get realistic results with these. We had in game one, Dallas was the road team against Miami, and it looked like Miami prevailed 92-84 in real life, and this game they lost 103-80. So Dallas Heat at home. The second game in real life, they lost 95-93. In this game, they overwhelmed the Mavericks 115-73. And when you're looking at total points scored, I think you're getting pretty close. So here we're at like 188. In the real game two, the actual score was 95-93, which is a total of 188. So you can see like your point distribution is going to be pretty close. Here it was 100-96 in game three in favor of the Mavericks. They were 86-88. Mavericks won in real life. So if you add those, you're at 174. So we're a little high on this one. And then we're here to game four. So at this point, Dallas is leading the series 2-1. And in this game, they are going to be the home team. And so what I've done is I've figured out the modifier for each team, and I've applied it to the score line. So you're going to look on the left side of your sheet is where you're going to keep the score of the game. It works in 3-minute segments. So 4 3-minute segments make up each quarter. If it's tied at the final, you roll for an OT. In a situation like this, in the playoffs or finals, I would roll an additional OT if it remained tied. And you'll kind of see where that might come into play. You don't fill out your score sheet to start the game. You don't pick your lineup. That is all done on the rest chart. And if you're playing the advanced game, there's other things that are going to factor in. So let me tell you how we got the modifier. So the Heat have a total modifier of -15. And what that does is that takes they're the visitors, so you take their road offense, which is -11, and then you add it to Dallas's home defense, which is -4. So -11 plus -4 is -15. And then what you're going to do is you're going to distribute that modifier in the scoring column, okay, in the modifier column over here. So with -15, that means what I did for simplicity's sake is I just started at the bottom and I worked my way up. You can't add in a modifier more than -2 or +2 for any 3-minute segment. So you can't have like a -3 modifier or a -4 modifier or a +3 modifier. So you break it into like -2 segments. So for this, you're going to have 7 -2s, and then you add a -1 to make that total of 15. Now, when you're playing solitaire and you're playing, you can put it anywhere in here. You don't have to necessarily nestle them all at the bottom, but I wanted to be a little bit judicious with this, so I did the same for both teams. I started at the bottom with -2s, worked my way up until I got to that odd number, and added a -1. And you'll see how that plays in. We're going to play probably a quarter here, and then we'll skip ahead to where the modifiers come in. The Mavericks, they have the same modifier today because they are at home, and they are a -11 offense at home, and Miami's road defense is -4, so they are -15 as well. So that's how these come into play. So you just kind of fill in your modifier, and then you fill it in along the score sheet. And like I said, you can do it you can put those minuses anywhere you want. I guess you could put them in the OT column if you're worried about a game going to OT, but I wouldn't do that. And the modifier is basically meant, I think, to kind of replicate a team's scoring ability both on the road and at home, but also kind of account for home court advantage. Okay? So, before we start any of this, the way the game is played is with 2d6, okay? And you're going to want 2 different colors. I always play basketball games with an orange die because it just feels right. You're going to want to pick one dice as your first number and one dice as your second. So I always pick the orange as my first with basketball, and the dice will be second. So if you get a roll, you have a roll of 21. For point scoring purposes, when you roll the dice, you're adding them together. So for point scoring purposes, this would be a 3. For player finder purposes, it's a 21. And I'll show you what we mean in a minute, okay? So we are going to start with the Heat. Essentially, the game breaks down to 16 rolls per team plus the modifiers. So if you wanted to do away with your statistics and just use this as a score generator for a replay or a season that you're doing, that's all you'd have to do. You wouldn't have to keep any stats. You could just set this up, pick your first three-minute segment and roll, and you'd have a 5, and boom, you have 5 points. And then you'd roll for the next team. You have a 6-2, so you have 8. So after 3 minutes, it would be 8-5. So that's basically how that scoring is going to work. And then we'll show you real quick how the player finder is going to work. We'll play a couple of segments, and then we'll skip ahead to where the modifiers come in. So for the Heat, to start off, we're going to roll a 4-6. So you have 2 dice columns. You put the dice roll in, 4-6. There's no modifier. So in the first 3-minute segment, the Heat have scored 10 points, which is a great start to the game. So now you're going to come to your player finder chart. You're going to scroll down to 4-6, and you're going to use this line to generate your stats. And actually, you're going to add those together and come over to the rest chart. And I'm going to modify this because it's a finals game. But in a regular season game, you would use this rest chart. D. Wade, Miller, Dampier, and Haslam would all be out. For the purposes of this, well, let's just do it that way. Let's follow the rules. So you got your first roll. You're going to determine 3 things with it: your score, your distribution of stats, but you're also going to establish who's actually playing in this game. So in this instance, D. Wade, maybe he sprained his ankle in game 3. Maybe he's out. So we're going to put the guys that are out down here. So D. Wade, Miller, Dampier, and Haslam. So that's probably going to hurt in a certain way. However, the way that the scoring works is that the score is never going to be affected, I think, by the players that are missing. It's just going to be your stats. And I think this is just basically generating realistic season stats. Unfortunately, I would feel like if I'm going into the playoff game with D. Wade on the bench, that I'm hurting. But I still have LeBron James and Chris Bosh, so I'm not worried. 46. So you're going to go across the line. So your field goals, Chalmers took 3 shots and hit 1. So Chalmers is going to be our first into the score sheet. And he's going to hit 1 basket out of 3. Because Haslam says here he's going to go 3 for 3, but he's actually on the bench, we're going to use Chalmers. So Chalmers is racking up the points right away. And that's basically how you distribute the statistics for the guys on the bench, is you're going to start at the top of your scoring list, and each statistic you're going to kind of work your way down. And I'll show that. We'll get into that more. So LeBron James here is our second on the scoring sheet. So LeBron James was fouled in this segment, scored 2 free throws. There were no 3-point shots taken by the Heat. Chris Bosh got a rebound, so he's going to be number 3 on the sheet. And we'll take a rebound for him. Dampier got 2 rebounds. So we're going to go up here, and we're going to distribute those 2 rebounds down the chart. So 1 each for Chalmers and James. Ilgauskas got an assist, so he's going to be our 4th on the chart. And his assist is going to be here. And then we have an assist by Miller, who is on the bench, so that's going to end up with Chalmers. So those guys that are linked first on your sheet are going to get a lot of those extra points, and they're going to have like a good game. So we finished our first 3-minute segment here. for the Miami Heat. And then we're going to flip around to the Dallas Mavericks. And we're going to roll. So we got a 2 and a 4. So go down to the Mavericks. We're going to fill in our score of 2-4, which is 6 points. So after 3 minutes, it's 10-6. Then we're going to look at the Mavericks sheet. And we're going to go to 6. Okay. So Butler, Boys, Stojakovic, and Mahinmi are all out. So this is an interesting game. We got a lot of good stars out. So we'll start with Butler. And this is the only role of the game where you're going to figure out who's sitting out. And part of the reason that you do this is because there's more players than there are slots on the score sheet, on the active score sheet. So it actually helps with the scoring. So those 4 guys are out, and then we're going to look at, we're at 24. So we're going to go, Mahinmi's our first scorer, and he's 0 for 1. Butler's our second scorer at 1 for 1. So whoever ends up being our first person on the score sheet is going to actually inherit those stats of 1 for 2, and that's going to be Chandler. So Chandler goes in, and he's 1 for 2 on free throws, and he's 1 for 2 on field goals. So he's got the first 4 points. In 2-4, Barea hits a 3-pointer. Oh, let's see. Wait, that's more points. Am I on the wrong column? Nope. Barea. Oh, he's 1 for 2 on the free throws. Barea, and then Chandler's going to get a couple of rebounds. And Boys gets the assist, and that's going to end up going to Chandler as well. So it's all Chandler for that first section. So there's your first 3 minutes. It is officially 10-6. The Heat are up by 4. Chandler's got a field goal, a free throw. Barea hit a 3. James went to the line twice, and Chalmers has hit 4 baskets. So that's, in a nutshell, how this game's going to work. And now that we're past our first roll, we can kind of move on. And here we go, 44. Now in the basic game, doubles don't have any significance. I'm not sure about the advanced game. Like I said, the advanced rules come with the game that you're going to purchase. So now we're looking at 8 points in this second segment. And with a 4-4, we're going to go down. So 4-4, D Wade starts off the scoring as 1 for 2. Since he's on the bench, it's going to be Chalmers. Chalmers is going to have a day. LeBron James goes 2 for 3. So that's 6 points right there. House goes 2 for 2. He's going to be our next scorer on the score sheet. So he goes 2 for 2 from the line. Bibby is going to be on here. And he chucked up a couple of threes, but couldn't get him to drop. Miller gets 2 rebounds since he's on the bench. Those are going to distribute up top. And then D Wade gets an assist, and Bibby gets an assist. So that first assist will go to Chalmers, and then 1 to Bibby. So that's segment 2 for the Miami Heat. And I should just be adding these together. So that's 18 points. So now we're looking at the Mavericks. Oh, and that's good. So we got our first 66 here. So that's going to be a good 12 points. And they are going to tie this game up. So if we look at our score sheet here, that is going to be Nowitzki. So he is going to come in third on our score sheet. And he's going 2 for 3 on field goals in this 3-minute segment. Chandler is 2 for 2. Nowitzki's 1 for 1 on free throws, so he must have gotten fouled and done an and one. Barea hits another 3. Nowitzki gets 2 rebounds. Barea gets 2 assists, and Kidd gets 1. So Kidd will make the score sheet with his assist, and that's that. So now you're just going to kind of fill in the score sheet anytime you see a new player. Stats that are assigned to these guys that are on the bench are just distributed from the top down. I'm going to play a few of these I'm going to play the rest of this quarter and the first quarter off camera, and then we'll come back and I'll show you in the third quarter how we start using and applying this modifier. All right, guys, we are back. I just played through the rest of the first and second quarter. Probably took me about maybe 15 minutes. When you're keeping the stats, the game's going to run a little bit longer. If you're keeping track of misses, which I am, you're going to add a little bit of time. And I think when you go to the advanced game, there's a way to figure steals, blocks, fouls, things like that. And also, I think all of your numbers on your score sheet are going to start to come into play. So it might be a little bit longer than that. But essentially, like I said, it boils down to these 16 roles per team. So right now, Mario Chalmers is having a game. I think he's got about 23 points, 4 boards, and 3 assists. LeBron James has turned in 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11 points, 2 boards, and 3 assists. I think Tyson Chandler's here with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 16, 17 points, 7 boards, and 3 assists. So we're generating some statistical information as we go. It's halftime. Dallas is up 60-59. And you can see I basically just followed that same process, rolled the 2 dice. One thing that came up that I'm not sure if it'll come up again, so I'm going to talk about it right now, is what happens if a 3-pointer is assigned to one of your bench guys. You have to cycle it to the top of the chart. How do you know who up here is going to be hitting threes and who's not? Well, on your roster, there's a 3-point column with all the players. If there's an N there, that means those players do not take 3-point shots. So if you do end up, for instance, while we were out, I had, let's see, I think it was on the Mavs. I think it was Tyson Chandler. He's got an N for the 3-point. So that means when that 3-pointer was reassigned, I think Bo Boys hit it. I went to give it to Chandler, but because he's on that no-fly list for the 3-point zone, I just gave it to Barea. Barea is 4 for 4 from downtown, and he's got a field goal. So he hasn't missed, and he's got 14 points, or so it seems. So that's great. So just so you know, there is a way to determine to keep guys from scoring 3-pointers excessively if they've never hit one, or if they don't hit them very much at all. That doesn't mean that you won't find them necessarily in the 3-point column here, depending on the player. It just means that you can't reassign statistics to them. So now we're here in the third quarter. We're starting the third quarter. It's 60-59. Dallas is over Miami at the current time. And we're going to start getting into the modifiers. So there's basically a couple ways. You're either going to have a -2, -1, no modifier, a +1, or a +2. Those are the only modifiers you can have per 3-minute segment. So basically, if you're adding or subtracting a point, you're going to do it in the free throw statistical column. If for some reason there isn't a free throw in the statistical column for that segment, you can change a 3-pointer to a 2-pointer, and that's going to essentially, or change a 2-pointer to a 3-pointer if it's a +1 modifier. So I'll show you what that means right now. So we'll roll, and this is not a good start for the Miami Heat, because they're going to score 3 points, but they're going to -1 their modifier, so they're only going to get 2 points here. So in the 1-2, we're going to see LeBron James is 0 for 2 in the start of the third quarter. Ilgauskas is 1 for 1, so that will stand. We'll get those 2 points. But then here, D. Wade is 1 for 2, so he's going to be 0 for 2 and we're going to give that to Chalmers. So he misses 2 free throws, whereas without the modifier, he would have made the free throw. Miller goes 0 for 2, so that's going to be, we'll give 1 to Chalmers, 1 to James. And you can house rule how you spread out some of these stats if you want, and I think in the advanced version, you're going to have some different rules there. But Miller also got a rebound, so that'll go to Chalmers. But yeah, like you could give that one to Chris Bosh if you wanted. There. So that's how you work your -1 modifier. We'll do it again here with the Mavericks, and then we'll show the -2 modifiers, and we'll play the rest of this game here. So this is a 36. So Mavericks come out strong, scoring 9 points. But did they score 9? No, they did not, because they have -1. So they score 8 points. So they're going to have to minus that 1 off of their statistical column. So Barea is 1 for 2. That's going to stand. Mahinmi is 2 for 2. So like I said, you can give both of those to Chandler, which I will, or you could do 1, 2. That's kind of up to you. Dirk Nowitzki looks like he's 3 of 4. So we're going to make him 2 of 4. And that'll take care of that -1 modifier. Butler was 0 for 2 from 3. So we'll give, Chandler doesn't take 3. So we're going to give him to Barea. So he'll be 0 for 2 for 3. Got to remember that. And then, let's see, Stojakovic got a rebound. He's not in the game, so that'll go to Chandler. Where did we go? 36. Jason Kidd gets a rebound. And then Nowitzki and Stevenson both get an assist. So Nowitzki and Stevenson. So there you have it. Now it is 68-61. So a good start to that third quarter by the Mavericks. The other thing I don't think I'm doing on these modifiers is what you can do is modify the defensive rebounds for the other team as well. So if you have a -1 or a -2, you can take away a defensive rebound. For the -1, I don't think you need to worry too heavily about it, but it always is good at the end of the game to kind of look and make sure your rebounds don't exceed your shots missed. I haven't had that issue anywhere near yet because there's a lot of team rebounds that are figured in. But that is something to note. You can either add a defensive rebound to whoever gets the defensive rebound on the opposite team when there's a minus. So we can do that on this next roll. So we're in the second 3-minute segment of the third quarter. We've got a 1-6. And that's going to be -2. So 1-6 is 7, -2 is 5. So we'll add 5 to 61. So we've got 66. 1-6, LeBron James. He is, let's see, I might have to use my magnifying glass to figure that one out. 2 for 3. So LeBron James will get his 2 for 3. Now, to accommodate for that -2, we're going to look in that second column. And Mario Chalmers is 1 for 1. He's going to be 0 for 1. So you always make your 2-point modifier in this second column if it's possible. D Wade, 1 for 2. So that'll go to Chalmers. No 3-pointers. James got 2 defensive rebounds. And you can add 1 to that because there's going to be a -2 modifier on that next segment for the Mavericks. Bosh gets an assist. And Miller gets an assist. That'll go to Chalmers. So like I said, that rebound rule is kind of, I don't want to say it's optional, but it's not critical to remember. So we're moving on. Now we're going to do our -2 modifier on the Mavericks second 3-minute segment. So we're at 45. So that's 9 -2 is 7. So they're at 75. And at 45, Marion is 1 for 2. And then we get to Kid, who is 1 for 1, so he's going to be 0 for 1 to account for that 2-point modifier. Mahinmi is 2 for 2 on free throws, so that's going to go to Chandler. Stojakovic, 1 for 1 on threes, so that'll go to Barea. Nowitzki gets a couple of rebounds, and we'll give him an extra due to the -2 modifier on that previous. And then Kidd gets an assist, and Haywood gets an assist. There you have it. Regular season basketball. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or anything else that you'd like to see with the game. I'll finish this up and I'll post the score. I'm not going to bog you down with the rest of the game. It's not quite as exciting to watch as a possession by possession game, I would imagine, on the internet, but it's fun to play because you kind of see the back and forth. You see who's getting hot, who's not. Kind of final thoughts on this game is it's a lot of fun. I don't know if I would do like a full season replay with it, but it certainly seems like it could be a supplement to a replay for when you want to get through a game quickly. You could easily do a full season replay with it. I don't know anyone that has at this point. If you have, in the comments, let me know what you thought, what your stat comparison was. It seems to deliver very realistic results. I assume that in the more modern era of the NBA, that the team cards are going to have plus modifiers, because it feels like these scores come in right around where this era was. So it's really hard to get a much higher score, but I'll see. I'll probably pick up a season of this. On the gripe side, my only gripe with these is that the writing's a little bit small for my old eyes. So if that's an issue for you, I use a big magnifying glass sometimes, but it would be nice if I had some Photoshop skills or anything like that, maybe turning these team charts into two pages and maybe expanding this scoring chart, the statistical chart. That's really the only thing that kind of wears me in playing one of these games, is just having to kind of read the small print. But otherwise, I like the way it moves. I like the way that things are distributed. And like I said, you can house rule some things if you need to, or if you want to adjust it. But essentially, you're breaking it down to 16 roles, maybe 17. It's generating full stats. I haven't seen, like I said, the steals and blocks and fouls, but all of that stuff I think is baked into the advanced rules. And I'd be interested to see once I pick up a season. So I might do another video down the line when I actually get a season. I'll probably grab a season that will complement one of the season replays I'm doing now, and use it as a supplement. But a great fast play game, right up there for me with up-tempo basketball, highlight maker hoops. It's fun, it's quick, you get the stats. So you can kind of crunch them at the end of the game and see what's what, and you can kind of crunch them as you go through. But a lot of fun, pretty easy to play and pick up. So if you enjoy it, like I said, I'll try to get the link in the comments, and I will see you next time on Johnny Cracks Packs. I will be working on my Ron Guidry replay statistical comparison video. Really excited for that one. And I got some more pack openings coming up this week. So take care, guys. And gals, if you're out there, appreciate the likes and subscribes and the support of the channel.